Do co-ed drug treatment centers work where you have male and female in the same drug treatment center where they're permanent residents until they graduate? Well, I'm going to tell you about an experience I had where I had to investigate a drug treatment center, co-ed, ages 18 to 25, male and female, and how this program failed miserably. Now, a lot of it failed because of management not doing their job to monitor the male and female residents properly. So what did that lead to? Well, you're going to find out what it led to after midnight. What goes on after dark at co-ed drug treatment centers. One day we got a call in the Inspector General's office from a couple of very upset parents. Their children, which were actually young adults, 18 to 25, had gotten out of the program at the drug treatment center in Bradenton, and they had successfully completed the program, but they went home and told their parents what goes on at the program. Now, remember, not all of the residents there participated in the sex, drugs, and alcohol after midnight at this treatment center. And I get assigned the investigation, and the parents are reporting that when the sun goes down at this treatment center, all kinds of things are happening. Male residents are sneaking in through the back windows of the female residents. They're having sex. Drugs are being dropped off on the outer line. And let me give you a picture. This is out in the middle in Bradenton, Florida, out in the country area, surrounded by farmland, okay? The residents could leave anytime they want if they wanted to, obviously, because if they're sneaking out of their dorms, going to each other's dorms after midnight, obviously they could leave when they want to. But this program is in lieu of prison. If they successfully complete this drug treatment program, which also provided a GED, if they did not have a high school diploma, they could get one while they were there also. Then they would graduate with a certificate of drug treatment, hopefully be drug-free, have a high school diploma, and then cross your fingers and hope they go on to make their lives better. Well, politicians were involved in this real big. It was one of the first ones in the area. They really wanted it to go. City officials were really big into this program as well. The Department of Corrections ran the facility. They had an assistant warden there, and then they had correctional officers that were assigned there from various correctional institutions on special duty. So now they were assigned the day shift, and they didn't have 12 hours back then. They had day shift, swing shift, and midnight shift. So it was a system put into place, and everybody was watching for success. Well, these parents were very unhappy. They said, you know, it's just not an area that anybody's going to learn from, because all they're seeing is drugs, alcohol, and sex. So I go out and make a day visit, and I walk the area. I'd never been to this program before. So I walk the area. I meet the assistant warden in charge. I say hello, talk to the assistant warden. I walk around and check everything. Now, just in my first day there, without talking to anybody, interviewing anybody, I see bent screens on the back of the dorms. You know, and of course, not super investigative work. We were already tipped off by the parents that they were sneaking in and out of the windows. So obviously I'm going to go look at the windows and see if I see anything. So I go back up to the assistant warden at the administrative building, and I ask about these bent screens, and she says, yes. You know, we've been getting reports from the day shift about finding bent screens. I said, well, have you had to order new ones? Yes, oh, we've had to order new screens. So I get the purchase orders. And I get these purchase orders of numerous screens that have been replaced at the facility. But no reports forwarded any further, because I checked with our regional office to find out if they've gotten any reports of bent screens or anything suspicious going on with the windows at the facility. None. They're just replacing the screens, okay? Keep in mind, this is a political center, a political project that they're hoping works, right? Remember what happens to management in some cases, when they know this project is being looked at by politicians and city officials and they want it to work, right? Sorry, folks, I'm going to say the word. We may not report everything. We may just fix it and keep it under covers, right? Well, now the IG is there and we're investigating, so things are starting to come out in the open. So my next step is to start interviewing residents, male and female. So I get an office, and I'm thinking nobody's going to tell me anything. They're going to be hush-hush. Wow, was I wrong. Male and female residents alike, participants and non-participants in the sex, drugs, and alcohol. Boy, did they talk. They were telling me that they had family members, friends, boyfriends, and girlfriends on the outside coming at night, dropping off drugs and alcohol in the fields that surrounded the treatment center. Some of the girls were sneaking out meeting their boyfriends. Some of the males were sneaking out meeting their girlfriends. Okay. Some of the male residents were sneaking out the dorm, running up and checking where security was. They had 2 officers on duty at night. They said that normally when the midnight shift got there, they would make their first round, do their counts, check everybody, call it in, and that was it. Many nights, till 5 or 6 a.m. But they would run up and check anyway, and they report that the officers spent most of their nights playing cards. Well, do we believe it or not? Well, I think this might have been true in this case, even though the officers denied it, because they're putting down on the logs 30-minute checks all night long. But yet the residents are telling me that they're having 2-3 hours of free time sneaking into each other's dorms, you know, and telling the other residents, those of you who don't want to drink, you don't want marijuana, or you don't want to do the sex, that's fine. Just keep your mouths shut. And this went on for quite some time. So I interview and I get sworn affidavits from all these 18 to 25-year-old residents about what's going on. I was shocked, but I guess they figured the gig was up. Maybe they're young and they hadn't been to prison. Remember, this is in lieu of prison. So maybe their mentality hadn't gotten as people incarcerated in prison, you know, keep your mouth shut, don't rat on anybody. I don't know, but they sang like parakeets about what was going on there. So then I said, okay, I better go check the drug tests, because of course you're at a drug treatment center, right? So you're going to have some random surprise drug screens or regular drug screens. Well, lo and behold, when I get those records, I find that a lot of the residents had tested positive for certain drugs. So I go back to the assistant warden and I say, I don't understand what's going on. Where are they getting it from? Did you report this? Well, yes, it's all there in the files. I said, no. Did you report this up higher to the regional office, to the city officials, to the people who are putting the money into this program? No, they hadn't, because they said sometimes people fall back into drugs. Well, wait just a minute. Yes, maybe on the street they fall back into drugs, but they're in a drug treatment center. We're not supposed to have drugs in a drug treatment center. Anyway, we continue the investigation. I interview the drug counselors. I interview the assistant warden. I interview the officers. Everybody says everything's running as it should be, yet I have purchase orders of all these window screens being replaced. I have testimony from parents who are upset about what's happening at the program. I have testimony from the residents themselves telling me what's being dropped off in the wood lines and pickup points and boyfriends and girlfriends and sex and drugs after midnight. Something's not adding up. Well, make a long story short, I finished my investigation, okay? I send it up the line. Of course, it goes to the regional office, it goes to Tallahassee, and of course, this one goes to the city of Bradenton, because they're also part of this program with money investments and stuff. Lo and behold, about 3 months after my investigation went in, I get a call from Mr. Joseph Pappy, regional director, who I knew very well because he was also in charge of probation and parole when I was a probation officer. He says, Gary, we're shut down the program. I know we got your investigation. We have too much evidence, too much testimony, too many bad things going on. This was a big, hopeful program in that area. It's shut down. The officers, nobody lost their job. The assistant warden was sent somewhere else. The officers that were assigned there went back to their original prisons where they worked. Nobody lost their job, and nobody got disciplined. They just shut down the whole program. Why did I tell this story? Well, my question is, do co-ed drug programs work? Can you house men and women, young men and women, older men and women together in the same place and try to treat them for drugs and things and make it work? My personal opinion, and maybe I'm old school, but if this doesn't convince you of things that go on, my personal opinion is it should be separated. But I won't blame the residents here. Well, yeah, I will blame the residents. They knew what they were doing was wrong. They were damaging property. They were doing drugs. They knew it was wrong. We'll blame them as well. But security and management failed this program. What if everything was checked every 30 minutes and even switch up on the residents and check them and then come back 15 minutes later and reverse your order and do security the way you're supposed to do security and catch them and stop them from doing what they're doing, and doing security checks at night, walking around the perimeter, seeing if anybody's out in the wood line when they're not supposed to be, going in the dorm. And I even recommended that if they kept the program open, that they house a female officer in with the females and house a male officer in with the males. Why are there no officers back there? I understand it's a drug treatment center and their residents, but come on. You know, when I did the STAR program for the Sheriff's Department, very similar to this one, we were housed right in the wing with the residents. We called them cadets in ours. We were housed right in the wing with the cadets, 1 officer to 16, 4 wings, and we were right there with them 24/7. That's the way that program should have been done. Hey, what's your thoughts? Co-ed drug treatment centers, good idea, bad idea? Should we have male only, female only? And there's co-ed treatment centers around the country right now. Are they working? Give me one that works. I think this was just a failure to communicate, as they say in Cool Hand Luke, and also laziness, also not doing your job properly, complacency, big time, thinking that everything's working out just fine. I don't need to do my checks. An assistant warden trying to hide everything because she wanted to look good in the eyes of the politicians and the city council and the State Department of Corrections. Counselors trying to do their best to look great. Look what I can do. I can cure these folks. And the whole darn time some of them were doing drugs right under their nose. Let me know what you think. Gary York, True Prison Stories. Please subscribe.